3 months from now, or 4 months, and I think nobody from what I got this morning from the short snippets people were saying about this, nobody seems to have a clue what's actually happening. So can you tell us from your perspective, what are you waiting for? What do you need to actually proceed any kind of act? You said you're ready for any scenario, but I mean, this is something that's really in front of us and nobody knows how to deal with it.
But Enrique and I will touch the subject quickly.
Yeah, I know.
Subject. Secondly, we have published, as you know, a report on Brexit that is available on our website, which spells out all the issues that have to be dealt with if we want to maintain connectivity and continuity with the UK. Well, between the UK and the EU, and by the way, between the UK and some external states, you know, that are covered by agreements between the EU and these states. So you have the complete view with this report. You are aware of it or not?
I think I didn't do it.
But it's on our website. It is a very good document, definitely. Yeah? And we have also a list of what the minimal requirement that we need to be able to fly on the 1st of April 2019, which is not on the website, but which is the how could I say, the safety net or the safety list of what we need. But we don't have a clue on what is going on in the negotiations. We don't have. We are, and the reason why I said this morning that we urge government to be more transparent. Well, first of all, to reach a deal, that would be nice, but also to be more transparent on what type of negotiation they are talking about. What are the points? You know.
I mean, it's not really realistic to assume that Britain will be cut off altogether. I mean, nobody wants that. I think nowhere.
I know. I am unable to explain to I don't know hundreds of millions of passengers that I'm sorry, but on the 1st of April your flight is cancelled and you will not be able to fly anywhere from the UK or within the UK or to the UK. So I wish the guy will be responsible, you know, to explain that to these passengers. Good luck. Huh?
Okay. Thank you.
And it's not an unknown issue.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this can go to the edge all the time.
But apparently we are not the only subject. Aviation is not the only subject to be in the dark.
Just a quick follow-up to that, and then the question I had planned to ask, but a quick follow-up. Ryan, the figures that you show for Europe in your projections, are they inclusive of UK traffic or exclusive of UK traffic?
They are inclusive.
Yes, that's right. They include UK.
So the question that I wanted to ask had to do with the issue of airport regulations. Is something that came up also at your AGM. But how realistic is that? And do you find that, for example, working with airport groups like AENA, which is privatized, do you find that you still have a need for regulation, or do you find that there's
for regulation for sure? The more the airports are privatized, the more regulation we need. That's for sure, because they are local monopolies. So even from a pure theoretical economic aspect, I speak under the control of Ryan, who is the real economist on this stage. When you privatize a monopoly without regulation, we know where it goes. So we need a strong regulation everywhere.
But you don't see an irony in that and the privatization of airlines. I mean, if you're saying that private companies need to be regulated because they're monopolies.
You know, in airlines, well, first of all, the airlines are heavily regulated, first of all. But secondly, there is a strong competition.
I think that's the difference.
There's a big difference.
Yeah, I think what we're looking for is a competitive competition is good. Competition is the force that delivers consumer benefits, that makes sure that management is focused on delivering what the consumer or the shipper wants. And I think that was very evident in that slide I showed with the airline sector. Competition is partly the freedom to fail. Lots of airlines have not succeeded, and the ones that remain are the ones that deliver consumer benefits. Can't really say that that's the case in the airport sector or the ANSP sector. So that's why regulation is necessary to make sure they're delivering what consumers want.
Yes.
Sorry, I will stand up. Without from Airport for Hungary. So this capacity constrained airports and capacity problems. As I talk to ANSPs, airlines, and airports, everybody is just pointing to another thing or anybody else. That airports say that they won't, invest money because they are not that rely on the traffic. They are not, they're just saying that it's not punctual. The ANSPs say that they have wrong data from Eurocontrol about the capacity and the flights, so they cannot predict the daily flights. And the countries in Europe, they say that they don't want a single European sky. So what's the solution in this?
Well, we are perfectly conscious of the fact that the responsibilities are spread all over the actors. So no one is bearing the entire responsibility on his shoulders. But there is a clear capacity problem in Europe, especially when you look to the future and when you look to the growth. If we want to transport 1.9 billion passengers in 2035-36, we will not be able to do that with the current existing airport capacity. That's for sure. That's purely arithmetic. So there is a capacity problem. This capacity problem can be solved by, there is not a unique solution. There is a portfolio or numerous solutions. First of all, is to build capacity. Secondly, is to use more efficiently and effectively, the existing capacity. The slot regulation is one point, but also the way you manage your runways, the approach center, the approach control. It's a key element. How can you explain that in one airport in the UK, one of the most efficient ones, which is Gatwick, they are able to manage something like 60 flights per hour, and in a similar airport on the other part of Europe, it's half of it, even less. I can explain that. If you can, tell me, I would be very interested, but there is no reason for that. So there is the way you manage your capacity. So slots, runway capacity, approach control system, and then you have the sky. The way you manage the sky, and we know that there is a capacity problem, there is a fragmentation problem between the various ANSPs, a lack of coordination. There is a resource management problem that has been terrible this summer. We were lacking controllers in Germany. In France, the strikes have hit severely, particularly Spain, in the Barcelona area. So we know that also for air traffic control, there are investment in technology, resource management that has to be improved, and the way the sky is organized between Eurocontrol and NSPs and between the various FIRs. All these issues, I'm sorry, but we are not discovering these issues. They are there for 15 years, something like that. And the single European sky was there to solve that, at least the last one, related to sky management. And as it is not moving in the right direction fast enough, we have convinced government to adopt national airspace strategy in line with the single European sky to push forward, the issue. So we are going to publish the first one with Poland. We have two. We are signing, and because it is ready, we are 2 countries that will be probably ready before the end of the year, and it's major countries. I mentioned them. I mentioned them in my speech. So it is something that is gaining momentum. So we hope to push forward, the single European skies through this channel.
Rafael, I know that this is a big issue in Spain, and we've been working a bit with ACTA and others. Did you want to add anything about how this affected Spain in particular?
Well, yeah. In the case of Spain, Barcelona, obviously, most people know, is one of the most affected airports in Europe, right? So, and that is linked to the case of France as well, right? So, and other restrictions are linked to the operational limitations of the airport, for example, and that is ground operations, limitations on certain sectors to operate. So the capacity It's a big issue, and we know them, as Alexander said, and it requires, we're working on the idea of the national aerospace strategy with Spain as well, because we see that as a supportive strategy to the single European sky, right? I mean, this is not a one-off, it's not the solution. I mean, the solution is obviously the single European sky, but we are working with the Spanish government. We're going to be signing with the Polish authority. In the case of Spain, we have seen a growth of traffic, as you heard already from the minister, much higher than expected. This is one of the concerns that I would say we have, because obviously there is the need for improved efficiencies using technology or developing infrastructure at a reasonable price. This is also very, very important, right? Because at the end of the day, the numbers that we have seen in passenger growth are much better than the projected numbers regionally, which means we could have much more efficient cost per passenger, right? So we really think that that can be also a very positive thing for Spain, because it will allow a sustainable growth and competitiveness of the Spanish market, which is, as was said by the minister, the second country dependent on tourism, I would say, right? 82 million, 4 out of 5 passengers or tourists come to Spain by air. So again, all these are very interconnected, interdependent. We need to work together with AENA, with ENAIRE, with authorities on all these efficiencies, opportunities, right?
Thank you, Rafael. Just one more note on ANSP issues. As mentioned, we'll be giving a signing this afternoon with Poland, and then there'll be a press briefing at 4:30 on that, and you can ask other questions on ANSP and single European sky issues at that point.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Jorge Penela from Avion Review. I would like to go back to the French strikes, please. Is there any way to stop them doing a strike every Easter, every summer, every Christmas?
No, we know it's a big issue that, and the European airlines are complaining about that. You know, and but that's a problem for the French DGAC. And frankly, I'm not responsible for the strikes in France.
I know.
Okay, I think we had a question at the back. Yes, please.
I had my piece of strikes when I was in there.
Good morning, Dennis Pisky, Aviation. So there were calls from a number of airline executives, not only the numbers at KLM, to replace or shift more short-haul traffic from the skies to the rails, basically, both for capacity reasons, therefore ecological reasons. What's IATA take on doing that in general, and specifically if there were, for example, regulatory ways to shift in this example, for example, traffic from Brussels to Amsterdam, sort of bound flights on distances which are very short haul, where there is good rail connection. Would IATA be willing to discuss that, or you're right against that? And in general, what's your take on shifting traffic to the rails?
Well, maybe since we are in Spain, I'll use the example of Spain linked to what you said, right? Because in Spain, one of the critical I think findings of this competitiveness study that we have done is actually intermodality, right? And one thing is to wish to shift from air to ground, but if you don't have, excuse me, the possibility to do it today, we have a high-speed rail network between Madrid and Barcelona, one of the biggest, let's say, high-speed traffic in the world, right? But the airports are not connected to the high speed. Right? So if we would connect the airports, then obviously it makes sense. It is driving, it is cost efficient, right? It is, you know, the other alternative is it's not necessarily the same solution that we're talking about, because you're talking about hubs. You're talking about these hubs, you know, the Brussels, Amsterdam, which is Barcelona, Madrid. There are many people coming from all over the world. And yes, of course, it would be great if they can use the network to connect. Right? So I think that is something we support.
And we have no position of principle. Huh? What we say that intermodality and connectivity has to be a show between train and then the market will do the job. Huh? People will choose, depending on the quality of the offer, the prices, etc.
Brian, did you have any thoughts on intermodality? Did that come up a bit elsewhere in the competitiveness study or in any other sort of research that you've been doing?
I think the main points have been said. I mean, I guess the government's role is to look at environmental issues, and I guess we should remember that laying new rail lines are quite they have pretty high environmental impact compared to a couple of bits of concrete at each end of an airline. But I think it's we should leave it to the market. Leave it for consumers and businesses to choose. As long as that infrastructure is in place, intermodality works for airlines, but it's what's best for the consumer in the end.
Thank you. Any more questions? Yes.
Rafael, you said that EU 261 compensation is a mess. Do you want to, or do you want to change it?
But we would like to have a more precise directive that would lead to less interpretation by the courts. Because these days the text is imprecise, so it leaves the courts a big room for interpretation, and that are totally detrimental to the airline business. And it is feeding the claims house that are that you see probably in Brussels or in Amsterdam waiting for you, asking if you are satisfied with your fare. Are you ready to make a claim? Blah blah blah, etc. Which is not, frankly, a very productive industry between you and me. So we would like to have a precise 261 with a clear framework for the passenger rights, their rights and duties. Because we fully understand that we need a balance between the obligations of the airlines, the duties of the passengers. It has to be the right balance. It has to be precise and leave less room for, let's say, surprising interpretations.
I think it's important to point out that at the moment reform is blocked at EU level because of the Gibraltar situation. That may resolve itself with other political maneuvers that are happening. So we may see the opportunity to improve this regulation. Thank you. Any more questions? Yes, thank you.
So the second question is, does it exist any possibility to repeat the next summer the problem of the last summer when the
we are a bit worried about that. Yeah, we think that the issues that have been difficult for air traffic control in the summer 2018 should not be totally solved in 2019, especially the lack of controllers in some areas of Europe. Because you need at least 2 years to train them. Worse, I don't know, but probably not better. Despite the efforts that are done by Eurocontrol and NSP to try to solve it, we are a bit worried.